And I just want to check, sorry. I just want to confirm that everyone is present for HB 503.
Yes.
Are we there for that? So Morgan Phillips or Delegate Smith? I see that. Okay, good. All right then. All right then, I will call this meeting of the Baltimore City Senate Delegation to order. Today is March 30th. We're meeting virtually today. We're going to have a bill hearing, a voting session and discussion, and an amendment to a Senate bill, and then any announcements we might have. So our first bill, welcome Ms. Morgan, Ms. Phillips, representing Delegate Smith. We're all here to, we have a roll call going a little too fast. Senator Attar.
Here.
Present. Okay.
Madam Chair, did you hear me?
Yeah, I'm not hearing you, but I see you. Senator Hayes. Senator Ferguson.
Present.
And I see Senator McCray. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Here.
And of course, I am here as well. Okay, so we're going to start with our bill hearing with House Bill 503, Baltimore City Sheriff's Office collective bargaining. Okay. Who would like to get started? Would that be you, Ms. Phillips, or someone from the Sheriff's Office?
Madam Chair, either one is fine. I will, Madam Chair, I will gladly defer to the Sheriff's Office.
Sure. Yeah. If no one is offended by it, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Morgan from Bill Sponsor Smith's office.
I am having problems hearing.
Okay.
Can everyone else hear her? All right, then let's see what's going on. Okay, continue. I'll see what my situation is here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Nicholas Blendy, Assistant Sheriff of the Baltimore City Sheriff's Office, here on behalf of Sheriff Kogan on House Bill 503. House Bill 503 is a bill that may be familiar from last year, just didn't get out in time on sine die, but it's a pretty simple bill. It amends a section of the existing statute for collective bargaining.
So you can hear me, but I can't hear you. That's great. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, let's see.
And
all right, just for the sake of rolling along, somebody who can hear, I'm going to pass it to Senator Hayes for a minute.
Okay, we love technology, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Hayes, my senator. For the resuming, basically this allows. Right now, there's a legal determination that is a bit wonky and causes a big delay in the bargaining process, and we have a workaround, but it takes a lot of time and effort. Importantly, everyone seems to be on the same page from the impacted agencies. The Sheriff's Office is in support. FOP Lodge number 22, who represents sheriff's deputies and court security officers, is in support. And I believe the mayor's office, I saw Nina on, and I imagine they're still in support because they were in support across the street. So happy to answer any questions. If anyone has, but we'd ask for a favorable report, and I'm sure if anyone has questions, we're all happy to answer.
Mary, can you hear yet? No. Anyone have any questions? Seeing none, thank you so very much, sir. Are there any other questions or people that wish to testify on HB 503? Seeing none, that ends the hearing on HB 503. I'm hoping the chair is ready to go, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Hayes. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you. Madam Chair, you got it. All right, now you need to come off of mute so we can hear you now. Excellent. There we go.
Alrighty, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm assuming that you gave a great presentation for that bill. Are there any questions? Okay, no questions. Alrighty. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Next, we have what I'm proposing as a voting discussion consent calendar. And these would be for bills that are exactly the same as bills that we've discussed and passed. One would be HB 681. That's Baltimore City Ordinance Enforcement. Kately, if you could remind us what that bill is.
Sure. So House Bill 681, it was cross-filed with Senate Bill 290 with Senator McCrae's bill. It's the ordinance enforcement, fines and penalties. So this bill repeals the maximum civil and criminal fines and penalties for Baltimore City that they can impose for any violation of an ordinance, rule, or regulation.
Okay, great. The next bill is HB 20, is CIAA Baltimore Alcoholic Beverages. We all know what that is. That's a cross-file of Senator Hayes's bill that has already been enacted, frankly. And then we have HB 1276, which is Delegates Wallach, Ampry, and Wells. And that's another bill that is cross-filed with Senator Hayes. That would be West North Baltimore Development Authority, Neighborhood Social Connection and Development Program Establishment. Kately, can you remind us what that is?
So this bill establishes the Neighborhood Social Connection and Development Program in the West North Avenue Development Authority. The purpose of the program is to foster social connections to support neighborhood development within the West North Avenue corridor by providing technical support to certain entities and awarding grants.
Okay.
It requires WNADA to award grants and implement the program, and setting aside existing funds totaling no more than $150,000 annually for grants.
Great. Great, thank you. And then finally on the consent calendar would be HB 1425. And that is also the 46th district alcohol bill. There is another one that we will be taking that we're going to have to take an amendment on. But is there any opposition to voting these 4 bills as a consent calendar? Okay. All right. All those in favor of the consent calendar, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okie dokie. All righty. The next discussion is on HB 998. And that would be Baltimore City Alcoholic Beverages 46 Alcoholic Beverage District Bill by Delegate Klippinger. So Senate President, would the senator from the 46th district describe the bill and the amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and appreciate this sort of got, it was not, we were working on some final amendments for the bill, and the committee we hadn't told the committee that the amendments were coming, and so it was voted on a consent calendar, so we have to pull it out, and it ends up having to be a floor amendment, so certainly apologize. The finance was moving just so efficiently that they were moving things along. So the amendment to 998 was anticipated. It has 4 separate components, and I'll describe one in general, or I mean in more detail, because I think hopefully it's helpful for others. While this is only in the 46th district, the first part of the amendment, we constantly get requests for 6-day licenses to be returned to, or to be moved to 7-day licenses. And we've tried to have a fair process of trying to regulate which ones would make sense. Are they in a more prohibitive area? And so we know that there is a broader need for a bigger, especially in the 46th district, bigger review of the licensing criteria. But this is our first attempt to kind of set up some generalized criteria for this particular issue that is acute. I think we have the highest concentration by far of 6-day Class D 6-day licenses. And so what we did is we've put an amendment together, and we talked to a bunch of our community leaders. We had a meeting with all of our community presidents a couple weekends ago to get their input, and they had some really excellent ideas. So it allows for a 7-day license, a 6-day to plus up to a 7-day license with a couple things. One, they have to have an MOU with the relevant neighborhood association. They pay a one-time fee of $15,000 plus annual renewal fees, and that must be used for MOU enforcement purposes. They have to operate with 100 seats or fewer. They have to maintain daily food receipts between at least 51%. And we've prohibited these converted licenses from being transferred to a new location, so that if there is a new owner, they have to comply with the new term or the terms of the MOU. Because the issue is people would plus a 6-day up to a 7 and then transfer it over into a larger location, and you create this kind of value out of nothing. So those are the kind of components of this process that the liquor board would be able to monitor. We added a few other things here. One is that we've asked the BLLC to create a template MOU. This, we learned from community leaders, is something that's become kind of a bit of a problem that we probably are going to have to address in a later year. But the MOUs vary widely across associations, which is okay, but we thought that it would be helpful if there's a standardized template from organizations to start from. A lot of our community associations made a really great point that to some degree, the MOU delegates enforcement to the neighborhood, which is not a great option. And so it puts a lot of burden on them. And so if we had more standardized process, it would be easier to have enforcement from the liquor board. And then we've also asked the liquor board to have potentially tiered violations for these plus up 6 to 7 days, because right now it's just set at a current level that ends up just being like a $250 fine that is just the cost of doing business to violate. And so if there are at least 3 or more in a year, that there would be a heightened violations, 3 or more in a 2-year period, there would be a heightened fine. So it's not just the cost of doing business for violating it. So that's the first amendment. I know it's a lot, but we spent a lot of time trying to get something for the 46th district that hopefully makes some sense, that we could sort of pilot, that is hopefully useful in the case that you all are dealing with these 6-day to 7-day issues as well. Yeah. The other 3 amendments are very specific. One has to do with a microbrewery for what is the Quigley's Half Irish Club in Wrigley's Delight. They have a microbrewery that has to be converted in order to continue with their microbrewery operations. There's a license that unintentionally died at the Broadway Diner that has been in continuous operation, but somehow there was an administrative snafu that we are reestablishing. And then another one for a transfer of a Class D license that had gone dormant that's being transferred to a new owner.
Thank you for that. I see Senator Hayes has his hand up.
Yeah. Did you say $15,000 for the application fee?
$15,000 is the one-time fee plus annual renewals, and that is an estimate of the value differential between a 6-day and 7-day.
7-day. I got
Roughly.
it. Got it.
I mean, in this part of for these areas, because some of the 6 days are within a capped area, and so they have values that are very different. So in some areas it's significantly more, other areas it'd be like, a $5,000 difference. But for where most of our 6-day licenses are located, $15,000 was the average estimate.
And what's the renewal fee?
I don't know the renewal fee. It'd be whatever the annual renewal fee is.
Whatever
for
the
existing
annual.
license.
Okay. And are we talking about A licenses here?
D.
D license.
So it's
what
restaurant.
Oh, these are restaurants.
And that's where the 51% food is, to make sure that it's clear that it's 51% of the daily receipts must be food. So these are like 6-day small mom and pop restaurants that generally aren't serving on Sundays because they have a 6-day license. And so they are prohibited from even operating in many cases if they have a bar in the establishment. So this would allow those who have that 6-day a process without coming to the legislature for an individual permission.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. And what is the problem you guys hoping to solve?
There are a number of 6-day licenses that exist out there that are
businesses wanting to convert over.
Yeah. And so it's a fairness question in that in some areas, particularly where there is a capped number of licenses, it's almost impossible. And then a lot of these 6-day licenses are, I mean, they're the best, it's the stuff you like to see, the like mom and pop type shops that
Right.
are coming up with their own little mini, food idea. And those
Yeah.
Sundays are a big differentiator.
This is pretty cool. Can you send us
Yes, the summary?
the summary of it? Yeah, no, I
For
think
sure.
this was a good 2027 40th district package.
We spent a lot of time with neighborhoods trying to figure out a
It looks pretty
process.
good. Yeah, yeah. And so there are, if I could ask a question, there's some shalls. So one, it's on page 2, and at the bottom it's section 12-1409. And this has to do, again, very interested in these memoranda of understanding between the applicants and the local community. And this is, I'm coming out of my Baltimore County meeting, and this is issues raising sort of the standing of neighborhood associations when there's a violation of these. So where does a neighborhood association go to enforce the agreement?
Yep. So it's a great question. So about 6 years ago, actually, it was Delegate Pete Hammond passed a bill that was about this specific issue. So we had started to utilize MOUs probably 10 years ago or so, maybe 12 years ago with the pub crawl stuff. So that was the initial referencing of MOUs in the law for liquor licenses. About 6 years ago, we put in the law, in the liquor licensing law for the city, a standard operating definition of MOUs that are enforceable for Baltimore City Liquor Board commissioners. And so generally it is at renewal. However, and this was part of the conversation, is there are things that happen outside of renewal that are part of the MOU that neighborhoods can bring to the liquor board, and there can be a violation indicated. It is not, what do you call it? Not dispositive. It's probative. So it's if the violation is found to be in violation of an MOU, it doesn't require the liquor board to operate, but it does. They can operate on the basis of a violation of an MOU. The challenge is, over the years, there have been so many different types of MOUs put in place that it's made it, it's sort of an evolving area, because it's put a lot of burden and work on neighborhoods, and it's got to be the right balance. Sometimes there have been some neighborhoods that have been a little bit overly prescriptive of things. And so I think the idea was to take the best case, take all of them together and work on a standard template that can be the basis for neighborhoods instead of having to start from scratch.
And just to be clear, this particular section, it creates a new section, and that could apply for the whole city. That section's not just, in other words, the way I'm reading it, this isn't just for the 46th district.
I think it is just for the 46. Do we maybe are the only ones with 6-day?
No, well, so it reads to me like a new section, but I could be wrong.
Only to a holder of a Class D license for use in the 46th beverages district.
So this would be 12-1408.
Oh, I've got 1604.2. 12-1604.2.
Oh, okay. So that's a new section. So, but section 12-1408 applies everywhere?
1408.
It's at the bottom.
Oh, that is just yes. Sorry,
Yeah, I mean,
1408 is about the MOUs. It's that MOUs that they're asking the board to work on templates for MOUs generally.
Right, and to Senator Hayes' points,
Yes.
these templates are something that we could be looking at in other districts. So that's a section that's not just for your district.
Yes, agreed. And it would not be mandatory. It's just
No.
it's asking them to look at all the MOUs that are out there
Mhm.
instead of it being started from scratch each time.
Okay, very good, good. Any other questions? Okay, since this was originally going to be on the consent calendar, is there a motion to hear this and take a vote on the same day?
Yes, move favorable.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good, great. All righty, love it. And now we have Senate Bill, and then this would have, could you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So now we're moving on to House Bill 1232. Kaylee, could you explain that one? And it is a cross file of Senate Bill 756 of Senator McCray, but it is not in the same posture as we passed it. So
Sure. So this is the Economic Development Project in Downtown Rise District, the payment in lieu of taxes. So this bill authorizes Baltimore City to exempt or partially exempt certain economic development projects from the city's real property tax under certain conditions. To qualify for the exemption, the owner of the economic development project and the Baltimore City Board of Estimates must enter into a payment in lieu of taxes by June 30th, 2036. And the difference for the cross file, Senate Bill 756, made it a emergency bill and also sunsetting after 10 years.
So, Senator McCray, do we have, or have you sent us an amendment to amend the House bill to the Senate bill?
I haven't said the amendment. I was just figuring it would just conform to it, and
Yep.
maybe Miss Kaylee will be able to work it through and be able to send them to the committee.
So is that your motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nina, okay, well, just hold on, Nina. Does this have to be on this bill, a discussion of this bill? Okay, so we have a second. I'll second it, but we'll hear you out.
I was contacted today. Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to speak. So I was contacted today by DLS about this bill and about the 10-year sunset provision. And the way that they are interpreting the 10-year sunset is that all pilots entered into would be void at the 10-year mark, rather than no new pilot agreements would be able to be entered into at the 10-year mark. So DLS is working to put together some language to clarify that the sunset is on new pilot agreements rather than voiding any existing pilot agreements at that 10-year mark. But I did just want to flag, as I was notified this afternoon about that peculiarity about the sunset and the actual pilot agreements.
So Senator, have you reached out to the sponsor about this?
I had not. This all came to my attention in the last hour or so.
Okay, then.
So I was working. Yeah,
Right.
I apologize.
No problem. Senator McCray, how would you like to proceed?
Let's just hold it till we get it in the right posture. That's
Okay, sounds
with you,
good.
Madam Chair.
Okay,
Yeah.
then we'll hold that bill. All righty. Thank you all so much. All right. So we have an announcement. There is an opportunity if we want to attend a joint briefing with the city, with the House delegation, with the comptroller at 5 p.m. Again, given our schedules, I was not able to commit us to that, but wanted to give you the opportunity. Senator Attar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If it's appropriate and there's no opposition to House Bill 503, the Baltimore City Sheriff's Office, I'd make a motion that we take a vote on it today.
Okay.
And I move favorable.
Okay. Any opposition? Good. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All righty. There we go. Look at us. We cleared our deck for now. Okay. Sure. Again, a joint briefing is at 5 o'clock. We've provided you all with a link. If there isn't anything else for the good of the group, I will call this meeting adjourned.
No, I appreciate the invitation, Madam Chair. Can you express our sincere disappointment that we cannot make it to this briefing as we have executive noms this evening?
I
But
will
we would have loved to be there otherwise.
I will absolutely convey that in the strongest way, though very appropriate. Don't worry. Okay. Once again, see you all. Have a good afternoon. And